Pastor Kirk, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great.
I gotta say, I appreciate you for blessing me with your presence.
Thank you for the opportunity to come on today.
Coming to the crib. We about to get into this book. You got a book out, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a super duper special guest with me today. It's Pastor Kirk of the Sanctuary of Life Outreach Center, located off of Finley Road.
Yes, sir.
Right here in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And he has a new book that just released this week called Breaking the Silence, Healing, Honesty, and Growth.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I was inspired to write this book because throughout my own journey, I realized how much I was keeping inside. It kind of spun from my other book called Why Me? Boys Are Molested Too. And when I started talking about molestation amongst boys, it opened up a door to vulnerability that I think a lot of men were holding things back because they were so afraid of what the real them looked like. And so I wrote it from the perspective of, okay, how many people in the world, especially men, are holding back things that are very vital to their growth or their breakthrough and really just holding it back out of fear and shame.
Indeed. Yes, a lot of things that, us as men, we felt like we can't talk about that. The woman might think we're a punk or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or my homeboys might be like, oh, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay to be vulnerable.
That's right.
At least that's what I've learned in the 40 years on this earth.
That's right. It's actually healing to be vulnerable because it shows that you don't think that you're a person of armor, that you don't think that you are a person that is perfect, but that you had to deal with some situations and some issues in your past, or maybe even some things that you're going through right now, and you're not afraid to say, hey, I need help or a listening voice, or I just need to be real and transparent so that I can get the healing that I need to go forth in everything that I've been called to do on the earth.
Right. Are there any personal experiences that you can kind of skim around and kind of, give people an example of how this, what led you to this as far as your own personal experiences, you reflected back on this while writing the book?
Well, I think that a situation with me and my biological father not really having that father-son relationship until about 5 or 6 years before he died. And I remember after he had died, I was sitting in there and I was feeling the grief and I was feeling my own personal guilt because I was like, I spent all these years being upset with him that I could have really created some memorable moments. Being a pastor, being a Christian, I could have easily forgave and say, okay, you know what, let's go to lunch. Let's go do some things together. But because I was holding so much hurt and so much anger against him, in my heart, I didn't create those memories. And so when after he passed, and it was like, oh man, I wasted a lot of time being angry. I wasted a lot of time that I could have been vulnerable and say, hey, counselor, this is what I'm going through, or pastor friend or brother, this is what I'm going through, that I could have really healed faster and been able to have those moments with my father. And so now that he's gone, it's like a lot of missed opportunities were gone because I was afraid of being vulnerable to anyone.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, man. That's powerful stuff right there, for real. Wow. Now, so you've been both a pastor and a leader in the community for years. How did your ministry shape the message and dedication or the direction of this project?
As a pastor and community leader, I'm probably the last person that people really check on to see if I'm okay. Wow. I do a lot of smiling, I do a lot of laughing. I think that people think that you're okay because you don't show signs of hurt. So because you're not on social media saying, hey, pray for me, I'm going through this, people don't really think that you have anything that you're dealing with. And so people will pour more things on you because you're afraid of saying, hey, you know what? No, I need a moment to myself. I need a self-care day. Hey, I'm going through, I might need prayer because you're trying to be the leader for everyone else. And so when I took the time back, I was like, how many other pastors and community leaders are going through right now and afraid to say, hey, I'm dealing with this issue, I'm dealing with this moment. And the only time that we really know that a pastor or a leader is going through when they get exposed, when they fall down beyond the point of no return, or when they're having a burnout, then everybody's running and saying, well, I should have saw the signs. I should have been there to help them. I should have been there to pray for them. But as long as they were able to serve us, we were not paying attention. And so a lot of the writing was me saying, okay, I know for myself, not even being a mega preacher or a large church, I can know for myself, if I'm going through this, I can only imagine how many other men or community leaders, the husband, whose wife is never saying, hey, baby, I just want to take you out to eat. I know you've been doing a lot for us, but will be quick to say, hey, we ain't been on a vacation in so many years, or something like that. And that man may be saying, God, I'm working, hey, I'm sacrificing, I'm going through all these things, but I can't tell you this because I'm afraid that it's going to look like I'm not a good man, I'm not a good provider, I'm not a good this. And so many men, especially in this atmosphere we're in now, are committing suicide behind that very thing. They feel like there's no tomorrow, there's no opportunity to grow, I can't express myself, and they feel like the easiest way is just to take that long nap. And so I was like, you know what, let me write this book to be able to tell people, hey, you need to be asking these questions to your man or to your son every single day just to make sure that they're in good headspace.
Yeah. Now, Breaking the Silence digs into deep, often hidden conversations. Like, why do you feel, or why do you think it's so hard, especially for men, to express that like hurt and that pain?
Majority of the time when men get together, their subject is very taboo. We might spend hours talking about sports. When we were out in the world, it was about the women. When you're in church, it's more or less about the scripture. So you don't really know men like you think you know men. Even your best friend, how many times do you sit down and say, you know what, bro? Hey, man, I almost thought about ending it all. I was just going through some hardships, or I had a moment of depression, man, that I was really, we make it taboo to have real conversations. Even when we look at a lot of podcasts, it's about sports. It's about the past rap situation. But when was the last time you seen one of them say, hey, man, what was something that you really battled through that could have took you over or could have took you through, so that man can show other men, hey, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to cry. It's okay to say, yeah, I had some doubts. I had some fears and I had some things that I had to go through. And because we don't have that, it's hidden. And so those become the things that create the wounds. Remember, the wounds are the things that happen on the inside, and then they show up later on. And so many of us are wounded because we are afraid to say, hey, listen, I'm battling. I'm going through. Hey, I just need prayer, or I just need a moment where somebody just listens to me. I remember praying a counselor so many $100 just to listen. Don't make me feel like because I'm a preacher, I'm supposed to know this. Don't make me feel like because I've been saved for all these years, I'm not supposed to have these emotions and feelings, but just listen what I'm going through. And that helped me a lot to be able to say, okay, you know what? Being able to talk it out really got me to the point to say, okay, there is no fear. And now I can share those things with other people to say, hey, being saved does not mean that you're not going to go through the struggles of life. Being a pastor does not mean that God is going to make you exempt from the struggles of life. In fact, sometimes you're going through and you're trying to go through for somebody else. And so being able to get those things off your chest and be able to talk are healthy ways that we can improve in our life.
Thank you. Now, you describe this book as an educational guide for women as well. How can women use it to better understand and support the men in their lives?
Wow. So for women, a lot of women are married to men they don't even know. When I wrote my first book about molestation, I had a lady call me and say, my husband was reading your book. He just broke down crying. He started saying, me too. I was molested. And she was like, we've been married for 20 years, and I never knew that he was molested. Now I see symptoms in with our marriage. He needed to feel validated all the time. He needed to feel appreciated. And he began to break these things down to me, and I had a better understanding. And so for me, it's almost mind-blowing that women may not know their spouse or their boyfriend, or mothers may not know what their son is going through. The son that the only time that he's getting rewarded is when he makes good grades or on that football team. Other than that, he feels lost. He feels trapped. Or that mother that's so mad at that father who left the family, and every time now she's catering that son to, hey, you're going to take care of your next wife. You're going to be there for your kids, but not, hey, somebody needs to be there for you as well. Somebody needs to love on you as well. And so now he's growing up as a shell of a man because he was never able to be vulnerable as a child. I remember crying as a kid, suck that up. Don't you be a punk. Don't you be this. And you're like, okay, it's not even manly to cry in front of anybody unless your arms broke or your funeral, you know. And so now being able to express those things even to my own son, like, hey, man, there's going to be some time that you're going to feel like that you're inadequate. Be able to share those things so that we can pray for you or listen to you, that you don't always have to feel like you have to be strong for everybody. And so I wanted to express that to women, that sometimes it's not for you to be a fixer and nobody's asking you to fix a man, but sometimes that man needs to be able to have somebody he can share with and know that's a safe space. Knowing that it's a space that you're not going to tell your best friend something, or you're not going to use it against him in a later argument down the road, can help a man so much when it comes to being vulnerable.
Man, you ain't telling no lie on that one, bro. I had got caught up for a second on that one. I was thinking. There's a generational aspect to silence. What are some patterns you've seen passed down that keep people, particularly men, from opening up emotionally? Like, you kind of dove into that just now, but you know,
Not really seeing other men be vulnerable. I remember and I wrote this in my other book on Why Me, watching Terry Crews, the big actor, big strong guy, played Damon in Friday After Next, one of those Fridays. And
I'm not a boy, Damon.
there you go, that Damon. And he was talking about how a producer grabbed him on the buttocks and made a sexual advancement to him,
Right.
and how that made him feel. It took him to a moment of depression. And I seen so many critics and so many people in the comment section, you big old guy, why you didn't knock him out? Why you didn't do this? Why you didn't do that? Why you? And almost like the only way a man can react, that men are not supposed to have any emotions. You're going to either handle it street or you're not going to handle it. The only way of of being a man and having masculinity is to look hard, and you can never go through anything. The first thing I talked about in this new book was about false male or toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
That this is what a man should look like. This is what a man should approach those things by. And one of the first symptoms you see is a man who is trying to overly do manliness in order to hide what he's going through. It is about how much he can amass in wealth. So everything is about how much money he has. He spends his money to try to get an image. He's got to have the women to be able to say that he's got clout when his conversation is almost from a place of braggadocious or trying to show forth who he is. And a lot of times those are the most broken people. We see men who are in powerful positions are some of the most broken people in the world, and we wonder why. You got all this stuff, but how in the world are you still broken? I always allude to, it's rich people committing suicide that have everything that I may want in as far as physical thing, but they don't have peace. Why? Because you got to a certain point, nobody wants to hear you crying. Nobody wants to hear you going through. Why? Because you're a person of power. And so I see symptoms of men that just really don't know how to express themselves, or you see the hardcore young man who's always mad, who's always angry, who really wants to cry, but he hiding that behind his anger. And so some of these symptoms are, I see him in the school system. You ask a young boy, and before he can get 4 words out, he's already in tears. And you're like, man, just give me a hug, bro. And you start seeing all of these emotions come out of him. He's been mad at his father. He's mad at his mother. He's mad at her boyfriend. He's having to take care of the kids while she goes out and party. And all this stuff's being contained in him. What kind of man does that make? It continues the cycle, and it's another broken generation because they weren't able to be vulnerable.
Listen, we all talk about breaking these cycles and stuff like that, but I mean, on the level, you have to surrender. If you want to break these cycles, you have to surrender and seek help and seek guidance. Please, everybody, just please. It's not taboo to ask for help.
That's right.
I need help. I love helping other people. So, and earlier you had said what you were saying earlier about like buying up all that stuff. It's almost like some men and women do the same thing. I'm assuming too, that like it's like they're overcompensating for something.
Exactly.
On a level. Yeah. Now, as you mentioned, vulnerability is a strength in your own life. What was a moment where transparency brought healing or an actual breakthrough that you can remember?
I think being able to be a more transparent pastor, not the sense that I tell all my business, but that be able to relate. I think there was parts in the Bible that we missed that are powerful points of Jesus and how he related to people in their struggle. The woman that he wasn't supposed to talk to at the well, how literally he didn't criticize her lifestyle. He simply said this: once you drink from this well, you'll never thirst again. And so in order for you to live a better life, let me show you how to walk in healing. When he talks to the man by the pool of Bethesda and he says, do you really want to be made whole? He wasn't just talking about a physical element. He was talking about, in order to be made whole, you've got to believe that nobody can get you the healing that you want until you accept the fact that you deserve to be healed. And I think so. You said something about choking a long time ago. And I think that so many people don't realize they deserve to be healed. And because of that, they overcompensate. They seek attention. I didn't realize that through my journey, one of the things that I battled with was wanting to feel appreciated. So if you didn't appreciate me, I would change me in order for you to like me, and didn't realize that was a hidden element of not being able to heal, that I felt like, okay, if you just fake it long enough, then people will accept you, not realizing first you got to love you, accept you, and allow God to heal you so that you can be the better version of yourself. Now, my son knows nothing about that past life. He knows nothing about the hurt, the pain. Why? Because when I was able to heal, I was able to show him what a healed father looked like and give him the advantage that I didn't have. And so now he's not a womanizer. Now he's not bragging over what he can do as far as with women or success looks this way. Now he's able to say, okay, I can live a peaceable life. Why? Because I have a healed father. And so when we really allow God to heal us, we start not only healing ourselves, we start healing generations. We start showing the best version of ourselves. And the only way you're going to get there is you got to allow the inward man to be healed so that the outward man stops suffering.
Got to break those generational curses.
Got to break them.
And you did that.
Had to.
Congratulations on that. Like, we got to do that. Now, many readers might struggle to begin these hard conversations. What's the first step to breaking the silence in their own relationships at home, like the viewers that's listening?
Well, I always say this: you're looking for safe spaces,
right.
Whether that be through counseling, whether that be through a good friend. A lot of people don't know the real us because we're afraid to show the real us. There are people that God has positioned in our lives that can help us, and we can have those conversations with, but we're so afraid. If I share this with them, then I don't look as powerful. I don't look like I have it all together. I always say this generation of society has created us. It almost created us to walk in a false appearance. So you see now women who are boss women, but are afraid to say, you know what, sometimes I go home and I feel like I'm lonely. This car didn't satisfy me. This house is empty because there's no life in it. And I have all this stuff and I've amassed all this. We have a society that everybody now has an opinion. Everybody now, and so because of that, we feel like we got to build up an image. So we're looking at people's life on social media. We're looking at their highlight reels. Yeah. And for some of us, it makes us go home and say, God, if I just had that life, if I just had that. But the true transparency is everybody is going to go through something. Every storm don't look the same. There's some storms like big monsoons. Some storms look like small little sprinkles, but everybody's going to go through a storm. And the more we're able to say, listen, when I go through the storm, hey, you might have a friend that friend is saying, you know what, I'm your leaning post. You call me anytime you're going through so that I can talk you off of the ledge. That is better than going home and feeling like you're by yourself. I think God gave us a great gift and we don't use it a lot of times, and that's people. The Bible even said when there's a sick among you, go to the elders. In other words, people have been positioned in your life to help you along the journey. And I hope that this book lets people know that, hey, there are safe spaces that you can go through. That brother that you might be just talking about football with, guess what? He may be that brother that is going through the same situation that you're going through or came out of it. Or maybe getting ready to go through it. But those conversations have to happen, and it has to be transparency.
100%. Now, Pastor Kirk, faith plays a key role in your message. How does spiritual growth tie into emotional healing and honest communication?
It's the biggest part of it, because when we develop that relationship with the Lord, it begins to show us the appreciation and importance of other people. So that first relationship is the most important relationship, and that's the relationship between you and the Lord. He shows you how to respond. He shows you how to do things in his way and in his image with perspective in mind. When I wrote the book and I get to the part of the healing process and why vulnerability is necessary for a man, it is the ability to be able to say, you know what, I can heal now and I can help other young men. I can help other men get to the path of true transparency and honesty. And truthfully, that's what discipleship is. That's what our Christian walk is. It is being able to help somebody overcome something that we may have previously been in.
Right. Writing a book can be a vulnerable process. What was the hardest chapter or concept for you to write about, and why?
The hardest concept for me was loose lips sink ships. And that is where I really tell females about when a man is vulnerable with you, how you have to protect that and how you have to cover that. And he can't find that in a text message later. He can't hear somebody say, I messed around and said that, I'm sorry. He has to be able to trust, because men and women value trust on different levels. A man look at trust as, if I give you the most intimate secrets of my heart, I expect that to be kept. Once that's broken, you may never get that back.
Right.
I know a lot of women look at trust as, if you don't cheat on me, if I don't catch you with another girl, then I trust you. But for a man, if I give you the concepts of my heart, if I give you everything within me and you use it against me, you'll never get that back. And so that was a hard chapter because it's like you're telling women that, listen, if you really want to get him to trust you, you can't be quick on the lip. You can't allow your anger to make you blot out something that he shared with you. You can't say something to somebody else, because I know men that even if they tell their woman something that most people will say is broad, if that gets shared, it shuts something down. Because it's like, if I shared that with you, what else are you sharing that I am sharing with you? And so being able to understand those things are very important for, I think, concepts. So that was like a walk back moment for me. Like, okay, golly, if I share this with my sister or my mother or even my wife and it gets out, that's a breaking point. That may close the door for a month or a year or even a lifetime on how much vulnerability I'm going to be able to share. What if I tell you that as a preacher that I'm struggling in the scripture because this scripture is not lining up with my reason? Are you going to say that I'm a charlatan now? Am I a herrick because I'm out here saying, okay, maybe I need to study this more, or pray on this more? And so that was like one of those moments like, okay, how much vulnerability can you even share as a pastor or as a leader, and being able to trust. And so I think that was a very hard chapter for me to write. Because really I'm saying, okay, from mother to sister to brother, if a man opens up to you, you got a real treasure.
Wow. For men who may feel ashamed, guarded, or misunderstood, what message would you want them to take away from breaking the silence?
You're not the only one that has ever felt that way. You're not the only one that has ever struggled. But I also want them to know this, that if you allow yourself to continue to struggle, life is going to keep going forth. You're not going to be able to stop time if you lose all that time in your struggle. So it takes a conscious effort to say, you know what, I'm tired of struggling. I'm tired of going through this. Listen, I always say this, when at 6 years old, when I was molested, I didn't realize that time stopped for me in maturing. And it came a false reality of this is what a man's supposed to be. And so when I came to grips with that, it was like, okay, I'm not going to allow this to fester. I need to heal, or else I'm going to be giving this to my son. I'm going to be giving this to my grandchildren. I'm going to be giving this to my daughter because I didn't deal with what happened to me at 6 years old. And so now I'm able to understand that, hey, if I'm going through something, it is better for me to say, hey, son, pray for your dad. I had a hard day at work. I almost felt like I just couldn't take it no more on the job, so that he knows, okay, a part of being a man is a part of being vulnerable. Not that man is separated from vulnerability, but I always liken it to this. What if Adam was in that Eve, and I wrote a chapter in that. What if Adam was in that garden and was having a moment of desperation and despair? Who was he going to talk to other than Eve? What if Cain, rather than running and killing Abel, was able to say, you know what, God, I'm struggling with this because I thought I was giving you my best. But no, he takes it out on his brother. And look out throughout the Bible. What if David had somebody to share with? Then Uzziah would have been alive, and he went and took Bathsheba. Wasn't it Bathsheba? I think Bathsheba. Bathsheba. Then he went, and so all of these men in the Bible show us the way Abraham went and slept with Hagar at the request of Sarah. What if he had another man to say, hey man, listen, she telling me to run this, but I'm trying to trust in the Lord. What do you think? And another man be able to say, man, you better trust in God. Then we would have these generations of wars and all that. And so I think that because if we don't get to the point that we are able to be vulnerable, we're going to cause destruction, we're going to cause inner wars, and we're not going to have any peace no matter what we have. We're not going to have any peace because we're going to be stuck right there.
Testimonies can be, sharing a testimony, what I've realized, can be so healing to myself and also others. That's, I don't know if that's considered cliche, but it's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It's just powerful stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to share this with the people and write this book, that just, my admiration and respect for you just blew the roof off the house, brother. You know what I mean? Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, for the women reading this book, what's one misconception about men's emotions that you hope this book helps to correct?
I think that if men are given a safe space in the beginning of any relationship, they won't have to be vulnerable when they get in trouble with the woman. A lot of men want the counseling in the marriage and in the relationship when they are already in trouble. All right, rather than, hey, And I think in marriage, I think in relationship, when we get to the point that we can really be transparent, we will know how to pray for each other. For instance, if a man is saying to his wife, listen, there's a woman on the job that's very attractive, and I notice she keep flirting with me. Baby, I need you to pray for me, and I need you to help me because I don't want to fall and I don't want to mess up what we have. I think that transparency does more for that marriage than that man saying, I can't tell my wife that, and then he falls. And so we've got to get to that level where we are doing Ephesians 5:20. I know everybody loves Ephesians 5:23. Man, love the wife like you love the church. Wife must submit to your husband. But Ephesians 5:23, submit one to another, which means, and it says submit one to another in the honor of God. Being able to be transparent with each other and support each other in this is very vital for any relationship. And I want women to understand this. When that safe space is created, we break it very easily in relationships. How do I look in this dress? If he says you look bad, you're going to go off on him. If he says you look good, then you're going to say he's a liar. So he don't know what to say now. And so majority of in everything, I think men feel like we got to be the fix-it ones and we've got to please the women. And I don't think that a lot of men think that our women should also be in the same mindset that we are when it comes to them. That just like she wants to be told she's beautiful, he wants to be told he's handsome. Just like she wants to be seen when she loses weight or get a new how to do, he wants to be told, hey, because if you don't, the enemy will play on the emotions and it will send somebody else to say the very same things that we're neglecting. If a woman wants to be celebrated, guess what, women? The man wants to be celebrated. If the woman wants to be heard, the man wants to be heard. And when we submit one to another, we're going to see strengths in our marriage and we're going to see strengths in our relationships as they grow. And I think that is one misconception of women because a lot of women have been taught, a lot of men have been taught, happy wife, happy life, but never, hey, no, it should be happy spouse. It should be happy relationship. It should be happy marriage so that both of us are reaping the benefits of being with each other.
I believe in relationships, it's not a 50-50 thing. It's a 100-100 thing.
That's right.
It's all about reciprocation.
That's right.
Reciprocation. Lastly, this is the final question. How can listeners find Breaking the Silence and what's next for you in your ministry at Solo?
They can find it on Amazon, Goodreads. It should have been a hit every major bookstore right now, so they can find it on there. If you got Kindle, you can get it on Kindle as well. I'm in the process now of writing another book that homes in on teachers in the classroom and how that voice of teachers is being silent. I don't know why God got me on a self-help mission, but everything I write is about awareness and about self-help. And one of the things that I believe at the church is I believe that when we help people through their traumas, when we help people through their problems. I remember going in church and I heard all these wonderful things about God, what God wanted to do, and then went home and felt like, okay, God, where's all this stuff at? Because I didn't know that I could cast all my cares on him. I didn't know that I can bring him my brokenness. I didn't know that I didn't have to be perfect or I didn't have to put on a show, that he wants to see the real me so that he can help me heal. That he said, come unto me, all ye that are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And so a part of what we do at the ministry is really to get people to be healed and to be able to grow. I don't care how much faith a person has. If a mother and her children are homeless, that's a burden on her. Let's help her to be able to get on her feet so that the God we serve, she can see it come through people. And so a big part of what we do in outreach is to show forth that love of God, to be able to get people connected with agencies and places to be able to help groom them and grow. One of the things that I like about our ministry, it is personable. It's not a number. It's not just somebody lost in the crowd, but everybody has different issues and emotions when they come together. So church should be that community of people that say, hey, okay, you're good at selling houses. You're a banker. You're this. Let's put these pieces together so that we can be able to work. And so in being able to create books, I'm able to say, okay, you know what? There are people who understand where you are and want to help you to be able to grow. Every book that I have takes you to a journey of healing. I never leave you there with no sad story, but I want to take you on a journey to be able to heal so that you be able to grow and understand this, that there are people that still go through things that you may be dealing with right now, but we got a Savior who loves us enough to help us overcome. Like you said before, that we're overcome by the testimonies. Mm-hmm. And so as we testify, we're showing other people, hey, listen, you're not by yourself, but let me show you how I was able to come through this with Christ Jesus.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, Breaking the Silence. Go buy it. Read it. Tell your family and friends about it. Fellowship. Get a bite to eat. Whatever you want to do, talk about it. Let's sit down and have these conversations with our family and friends and heal. It's time for us to do some self-reflection and healing so we can help others. It's all love, peace, and love from the Dap and the Hug. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Kirk.
Thank you so much.